New York continues to grapple with one of the highest homeless populations in the nation, and in 2025, the situation remains alarming. An estimated 245,000 individuals are now experiencing homelessness across the state. This number represents an increase from previous years, translating to roughly 127 homeless people per 10,000 residents. By May 2025, over 105,000 people, including nearly 38,000 children, sleep each night in the city's expanding shelter system. This is a significant jump, pointing to the relentless strain on housing and social services. To manage the surge of new arrivals, including a steady flow of asylum seekers, the city and state have added more temporary shelters and emergency accommodations. By early 2025, the combined total in official shelters hovers close to 135,000 every night. Yet the shelters tell only half the story. Beyond these walls, tens of thousands live without roofs or consistent safety. Recent street counts and outreach estimates suggest that in January 2025 alone, nearly 145,000 people in New York State found themselves unsheltered, sleeping on sidewalks, park benches, subway stations, or abandoned buildings. For the city that never sleeps, these souls make their beds beneath bright neon lights and in the cold shadows of skyscrapers. Among them are thousands of children whose nights trade bedtime stories for the lullaby of passing sirens and rustling trash bags. According to child advocates, the 2024 to 2025 school year began with more than 12,500 students attending class without a stable place to sleep. Many of these children drift in and out of unsheltered life, living with families too afraid or unable to find space in overcrowded shelters. Black and Hispanic New Yorkers remain disproportionately impacted. The Coalition for the Homeless reports that about 58% of heads of households in city shelters are Black, and around 34% are Hispanic. In contrast, Black residents make up roughly 28% of the city's total population, while Hispanic New Yorkers account for about 31%. White residents, who are about 30% of the city's population, represent just 6% of the homeless population, underscoring how systemic inequalities persist year after year. A troubling share of those who fall into homelessness in 2025 comes straight from institutions, prisons, psychiatric centers, and aging care homes, places meant to offer rehabilitation or rest, but too often acting as the final stop before the streets. Roughly 32% of the state's homeless population transitions directly from such facilities, trapped in a loop of inadequate support, mental health struggles, and a shortage of truly affordable housing. A deepening crisis has unfolded among the city's youth and young adults. More than half of New Yorkers without stable housing are between 18 and 24. Another large group, about 40%, is aged 21 to 25. Many are newly independent, estranged from family, leaving foster care, or struggling with college debt and no safety net. They often couch surf until they run out of options, then end up on the streets while juggling jobs or classes. While the human toll is, totally immeasurable, the financial cost also drains billions from city and state budgets. In 2025, New York City's spending on homeless services is projected to exceed $9 billion, which is a steady climb from the $8 billion recorded just a few years ago. Maintaining a single family in a shelter costs the city more than $104,000 per year, while housing an individual adult averages $55,000 annually. With tens of thousands needing shelter every single day, the math multiplies into figures that stagger taxpayers and city planners alike. Early budget reviews for this fiscal year hint at another shortfall, likely demanding over $1.8 billion more than was originally allocated for shelters, outreach, and housing vouchers. Across the state, several cities mirror the same grim pattern, though honestly, none compares to New York City's scale. Albany, for instance, is home to about 11,500 people without secure housing in 2025, with nearly 4,000 living in makeshift shelters and another 7,000 surviving outdoors or in vehicles. The ongoing relocation of migrants from New York City to upstate areas has also pressured Albany's already fragile shelter capacity. Syracuse faces similar hardships. The latest local coalition reports place its homeless population above 13,500, a 20% increase from last year. High poverty rates, especially among children, just worsen the crisis. Roughly 40% of Syracuse's children live below the poverty line, while over 40% of households spend more than a third of their income on rent. One sudden expense or job loss pushes many over the edge. Rochester now sees close to 16,000 people experiencing homelessness. More than two-thirds are families with children, many headed by adults who are employed but simply can't keep up with rising rents and stagnant wages. Buffalo has witnessed a sharp spike too. In early 2025, counts show about 19,000 people living without stable homes in Buffalo and its surrounding areas, a sobering testament to how economic hardship and rising costs squeeze households past their breaking point. Black residents in Buffalo still shoulder a disproportionate share. More than 55% of Buffalo's homeless identify as black, despite black residents making up just over a third of the city's population. At the center of this storm stands New York City, still the beating heart of the crisis. In the spring of 2025, the shelter system strains under the nightly care of over 105,000 people, and that number includes tens of thousands of children. Meanwhile, outreach workers estimate at least 45,000 people sleep each night on streets, subway cars, or in abandoned lots. For those lucky enough to afford a roof, the burden is heavy. A modest one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan now averages close to $4,500 a month, which, honestly, far outpaces wages for so many service workers, drivers, and delivery folks who keep the city's economy alive. The right to shelter law means the city has to provide a bed for anyone who asks. This ensures thousands avoid the freezing winters, but, it leaves the system stretched thin, especially with new migrants arriving every week, often with nothing but the hope of work and a better life. City leaders scramble for answers, though, honestly, solutions feel pretty fleeting. In early 2025, Mayor Adams renewed efforts to clear homeless encampments popping up under bridges, near parks, and along those quiet side streets. He insists the goal isn't punishment, but to connect people with health services, counseling, and safer housing. Still, critics argue that pushing people out of one corner only scatters them to another. Police and outreach teams work block by block to dismantle makeshift shelters made of tarps, cardboard, and plywood, offering beds and assistance to those who'll accept it. But yeah, many don't. Fear, past trauma, or just plain mistrust of overcrowded shelters keeps them on sidewalks, even in harsh weather. Yet, life on the streets, it just persists in all its quiet suffering and those little moments of defiant hope. For Amelia, the metal grate beneath her sleeping bag is still her nightly refuge. Nights are restless, days are long and hungry. On a lucky day, maybe a kind stranger hands her a warm sandwich. On a bad day, she weathers the cruelty of passers-by, the harshness of an indifferent city, and the fear of losing the few possessions she has. She's not alone. There's Miguel, older now, with war memories that never fade, still guarding Amelia's spot when she's away hustling for coins. And there's Rose, no longer 15 but still a runaway, who dreams out loud about someday sleeping under a real roof with a locked door and no fear of footsteps in the dark. New York's bright billboards still glitter above them. Tourists still snap selfies against a skyline that promises anything is possible. But Amelia, and thousands like her, know that sometimes dreams here come with a bitter cost. Their laughter, when it comes, is a spark against the gloom, a reminder that humanity flickers even where the city would rather not look. Some days, an outreach worker's gentle offer of shelter feels like hope. Other days, hope is just the dawn breaking over wet sidewalks and the knowledge they made it through another night. In this city of billionaires and Broadway lights, of towering wealth and bottomless poverty, the crisis of homelessness in 2025 remains a mirror few want to look into. Yet in the corners where shadows linger and cardboard beds are laid, people like Amelia keep fighting, dreaming not of riches, but of a safe corner, a quiet meal, a warm place to rest. And so, The city's harsh symphony plays on, as it always does, its unseen chorus humming beneath the noise, waiting for the day when every New Yorker can finally call a place home.